I believe that no man or woman rises without the help of a spirit. You need help from a spirit. So my name is Samson Okolinta, and I'm CEO of PEFA Solutions. I would say that my journey as an entrepreneur started in 2018. So I think I was working in a tax consulting firm around Techoculture, Lagos. So while working, of course, I was very inspired by the way things were going. I mean, my former boss, then Mr. Shoma Obi, even while I was still working with him, I decided to launch a digital magazine. So my first business was a magazine, a solution-driven company with interest in management consulting, business development, HR development, and agriculture. Here at PEFA Solutions, we are focused on delivering value to clients, irrespective of the services they engage us in. We try to deliver value to them. For example, if you are engaging us on the consulting aspect, we try to ensure that you get value. And that was when I started talking with my mentor, Father Goswell, the Catholic priest based in the US. And I told him, Father, I would like to go and work for somebody because this is not working. And there was something he told me. He told me why. And then I was like, one, because I don't have experience. Now, even if I tell you, even if I decide to go into research or something or consulting, I don't have experience. I've only worked for a year plus or something in a consulting firm, right? And I need more experience. But there was something he told me, and that thing really helped a lot. So he said something. If you do one thing for 1 year, you'd have had a year experience doing that thing. And then if you decide to continue doing for 3 years, you'd have had 3 years of experience doing that thing. When we launched in 2019, we had issues. In fact, we didn't have an office structure and all that. So I was working from my bedroom or something, and and of course that limited the number of clients I could get as at then, because then people were more serious about the on-site kind of the on-site workforce model and all that. That is, people were always looking at, okay, do you have an office and all that? Unlike now, probably thanks to COVID, that people now understand that, okay, you can still work from home. But then there was nothing like COVID. So there were clients that we could not close because they asked for an office space. I remember then what I would do is that when the clients reached out to us and tell us that they want to come and sit, I'll be like, no, fine. We love to meet our clients. My staff then were working like remotely. We're using remote collaboration tools like Trello, like Slack, like all that stuff, right? So one thing we believe that the government can do is to provide access to funding. Of course, this is possible. I mean, from what we've been seeing daily, we've seen a lot of opportunities. Like you have the Tony Elumelu Foundation, you have the Africa's Young Entrepreneurs. So these are like programs that help a lot. But we want to see more participation from the government, because there, for instance, I think it's a partnership between the private sector and also the government of other countries and all that, like the EU supporting them and all that. But we want to see a 100% driven, institution that helps business owners in Nigeria raise funds. Aside this, one of the other issues I think we faced was the issue of power. Power was a big issue for us. In fact, when we started at first, there were times where we could not even deliver jobs to clients because we didn't have a stable power supply system and all that. And even when we even got here, it was not so strong, but until we had to save up money and get inverters and solar and also get gen and all that stuff, right? So power was a big issue for us. It's still an issue, but the only difference is that we've now been able to find a way around it. And thirdly, staffing. One thing about when you're starting out, of course, you are limited by budget. You can't pay so much. So when we were starting out at first, I think my first employee we were paying my first employee then 10,000, right? I mean, that was just the truth. I was paying 10K then. That was in 2019. And you don't even expect someone that you're paying 10K to be very loyal to you. I mean, although there are few exceptional people, employees that still remain loyal and all that, but it's very, very difficult for you to get someone that you're paying very low to remain loyal, most especially when they are seeing other opportunities flying. So one of the issues we faced was that we found a lot of staffs were resigning. you know. So imagine you are supposed to work today, and then before you know, this person has resigned from the job and all that. And this was a big issue. The world is driven by research. You cannot really achieve excellence without conducting research. Now, let me give an instance. If you decide to start up a beer, a beer manufacturing or production facility in the north, your business will fail because by conducting a feasibility study, you find out that they don't accept some of these things due to traditional and I think cultural difference and all that. They don't accept consumption of alcohol and all that, right? Based on the understanding of ratings that are done over there. So without having that understanding and you just going to doing something like that, a lot of things can happen. You lose your money. It doesn't even matter how much you invest in. You lose your money. So before even starting up something, before taking up any decision, before investing, before making business any kind of plan, you need to do research. You need to of course, carry out some research. I think they call it market research or feasibility studies. You need to, of course, ascertain if your business model is going to be economically feasible, it's going to be operationally feasible, and it's going to be, and also you also want to check if it's going to be structurally feasible. These are the three areas. By being economically feasible, it's you want to check if the business will produce money. Is it going to give you money? That's one of the things you want to check. By being operationally feasible, you want to be sure that the business will be able to operate freely without any policy. Are there policies that would in any way encumber the operation of the business in the nearest future? You want to be, of course, check those things. And then, of course, the structure itself. Do you have the necessary structure to run the business? So you need research. You need to, of course, carry out research before doing that. Also, even aside that, also in the academic realm, because here at PEFA, we offer our research is actually grouped into two. We have the market and the business research, and then you have the academic research. So for the business research, that's where we do business plans and all that. And then for the academic research, that's where you help students, most especially those abroad, to of course achieve better growth and all that. In fact, people believe that the more references you have in a paper, the higher grade you will have. The higher your reference, the higher your research. Because for you to reference so many articles, it means that you have consulted so many journals. So you can see you can't even pass well, you can't even do well in school or something without having a lot of references. So you need a lot of research to make great business decisions. I believe that no man or woman rises without the help of a spirit. If anybody wants to experience evidential growth, evidential success, not just any kind of success, not just live a mediocre life, but a life of evidence, then you need help from a spirit. Now, the funny thing about this is you might need help from either the good spirits, and that's God or the Holy Spirit, or the bad spirit, that's the devil. And even the Bible even made it clear that these two aspects can give you success depending on what you want. Now, around Matthew or so, where Jesus, I don't know, but some of us here would have gone through that verse where Jesus was tempted. I think the last temptation or so was that he should, what's it called, bow down to the devil, and that he is going to give him wealth, right? Because according to the devil, he said the power of wealth has been given to him due to the fact that Adam lost, due to the original sin of Adam. So the power of wealth has been given to him, and he wanted Jesus to bow to him. So that, of course, that means that the devil can actually give wealth. The devil only wanted Jesus to worship him, so that he could give Jesus, everything. Now the same thing is also applicable to God himself. I think Exodus 23:25 says, if you worship me, I'll bless you with food and water and take away your sin. So at the same time, the devil wants us to worship him, and God also wants us to worship him as well. So it means that anybody worship would give you. So I believe so strongly in the spiritual aspect that I'm not just saying lukewarm. You can't run a business successfully if you are not spiritual, if you are not either for God and strongly for God. When I mean spiritual, I mean strongly spiritual, that you do things and you are so strong about it. At least you fast almost every time, you pray, you wake up at midnight, you even sacrifice, do stuff, right? Because these are the things that others do. There's a difference between being religious and being spiritual. Being spiritual is like the extreme part of being like, because you are focused about doing things the extreme way itself. And that's what I believe so much in. Like, you have to go the extra mile, you have to stuff. Now, let me give you an instance. If, for example, I am to compete with an Ogboni man doing the same business, let's say we have maybe I have maybe let's say my neighbor, for instance, let's say is an Ogboni man doing the same business, right? Now, if you notice, when they tell an Ogboni man, like a Curtis, to bring the head of a pregnant woman, this man, he does it. He's so brutal. He would go and cut off the head and all that. That is how brutal they can become. So even as a Christian, you have to be brutal too as well. When an Ogboni man is donating the head of a pregnant woman to his devil, what you do on your own part is to donate the full body of somebody to God. And how do you donate the full body? As you help God win a soul. That is another aspect. So it has to be sacrifice for sacrifice until you understand that level of dimension. Then it becomes very difficult to win in business and all that. Because I believe that business is a piece of war. You have to do certain things to achieve excellence. Of course, I would always recommend for people to, follow the good spirit, right, and all that.